Hi everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome from New Jersey. I'm broadcasting live here from New Jersey. Good morning. Good morning, Muse of the Poets. Good to see you. Good morning, everybody. I would normally be broadcasting from California, although I probably wouldn't be dressed at 6 o'clock in the morning in California, but I can do this broadcast from New Jersey because it's 9 o'clock here. And it's 6 o'clock in the morning back west. I usually say back east. I've never said back west. Good morning, everybody. Hello, Brazil. Good morning, Morgan Lily. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Colleen Patrick-Goudreau here from joyfulvegan.com. Thanks for joining us for today's broadcast. We broadcast yesterday about the Principles of Weight Loss Part 1, and today we're doing the Principles of Weight Loss Part 2. Good morning from San Diego. You're up early, Zoe. Dragonfly, good morning. Another from Brazil. Hello, good morning. Good morning. So, fantastic, Effectua. Fantastic. I'm so excited for this. I'm a fat vegan because of hypothyroid. Yeah, good. I'm glad. I'm really hoping this will be helpful for you. Hi from the UK. That's partly the reason, Welsh dude, you're one of the reasons I decided to broadcast this early. And I'm going to be playing with different times to broadcast because in the UK, this is a good time for you guys. Now, I realize it's Sunday. It's probably early for those on the West Coast, but that's why you can watch the rebroadcast. And from the rebroadcast, you can always share this with people. You can send hearts. And of course, hearts are always welcome. And right now, if you'd like to invite people to join, you can do so by swiping right on your iOS and swiping up on your Android. So welcome, everybody. I'm looking forward to talking to you about this really important topic. Yeah, Periscope is global, says Effectua. Playing with times is fantastic. Good. I'm glad you think so. People ask me what time I broadcast, and I don't know that I'm ever going to have a definitive time, but I'm playing with different times and seeing how effective they are. Hello from Ireland. Good morning from France. I was just in France. I will be going to Ireland very shortly. I was in the UK oh my gosh, was it last year? It was October, I guess. That seems like it was just yesterday. Welcome, everybody. So let's get to the broadcast again. Colleen Patrick-Goudreau here from joyfulvegan.com. I'll go to Brazil. I will. It's on my list. So today we're going to talk about another principle of weight loss. You know, one of the things we talked about yesterday was one of the reasons people tend to very naturally lose weight when they go from a meat, dairy, and egg-based diet to a plant-based diet is because they are eating more fiber and they're eating fewer plants. So the main reason for that is because, of course, as you know, there are absolutely there's no fiber in animal products, but there's fiber in plant foods. Bottom line, there is no fiber in animal products. There's fiber in plant foods. And so one of the reasons that people tend to naturally lose weight when they become vegan is because they're eating fewer calories because of all that fiber that creates a lot of volume in our stomach without any calories. Fiber doesn't have any calories, but also because we're eating less fat because there's so much fat in meat, dairy, and eggs. I may jump up because I'm sitting next to my in-laws' pool and they have this little cleaner thing, and sometimes it just comes up from the surface and sprays water. And I'm paranoid I'm going to get sprayed, so hold on. Okay, it's moving along. So that's the principle we talked about yesterday. What we're going to talk about today is getting into calories more. So I'm going to talk about budgeting your calories. And this is a really fun way to talk about weight loss because it is not about deprivation at all. It is not about deprivation. It's absolutely about abundance, and this is not about a diet either. This is absolutely about changing the way you see food and changing the way you take in food. So what I wanted to emphasize is it's really a mathematical principle because, as I said in the title of this Periscope, it's not about being deficient in calories. And that's one of the things people do when they diet is they starve themselves. They eat fewer calories than they need, not only to sustain themselves, but also to have the energy they need and, of course, to be healthy. So what we really want to do is have a calorie deficit. And the way to do this is to talk about calories as a budget. You know, I don't know about you, but I budget my money. I make sure that I have, whatever comes in, I'm able to then put into the different places for it to go out. But I make sure that I'm not spending more than I have. And if you think about calorie intake as spending calories, what happens is we spend more calories than we can afford, right? And so what happens is when you take in more calories than you're burning, you gain weight. And so, of course, the reverse holds true. If you're burning more calories than you take in, you lose weight. So in terms of sustaining weight, but also losing weight, the way to think about losing weight is to think about this pool of calories that you have that you can spend any way you like. You can spend these calories on only raw foods, only plant foods, only plant foods, that's what I recommend. But I mean, only, however you want to spend. You can spend it on having a piece of chocolate cake every day. You can spend these calories including having cookies every day. You can spend these calories on having smoothies every day or peanut butter every day. Whatever your favorite things are, you don't have to deprive yourself because you're aware of the calories that each of these foods contains. Now, what does this mean? Does this mean obsessing over the amount of calories and counting calories and being obsessed with calories? No, but it does mean being mindful about the calories you're consuming in the meals that you're eating. And let's face it, most of us rotate the same foods over and over and over again. And many of the foods we eat do have labels, as much as we eat whole foods and plant-based foods and only whole foods. Of course, there are no labels on apples and bananas because they're just whole foods. But we are eating foods with labels, so the calorie content is on those labels. But most of us don't know how many calories we're taking in, but we can easily figure that out because we're eating the same foods every day by logging the calorie intake of these foods, of these regular foods in our rotation for 30 days. And then after 30 days, because again, we're rotating the same foods again and again, and we're eating the same foods again and again, after 30 days, you pretty much know how much it costs to eat a cookie or 2 cookies or that favorite piece of cake or your favorite salad or a banana or an apple. You know how many calories each of these foods or meals contain. So you can go, oh, okay, if I'm trying to have so many calories a day, or if I want to stay in this budget of so many calories a day, then I can do so by eating these foods and not having to constantly track it, right? So there's ways to track it, of course, when we're talking about tracking calories. You can use there are so many websites that have different ways to track calories. And of course, there's so many apps. A very popular app, I'm looking at the name here because I can't remember it. A very popular one is called MyFitnessPal. And a lot of people have that on their phone. And you can track so many different foods, so many different packaged foods and foods that are in the grocery store. When I say packaged foods, I'm not talking about highly processed foods. I'm just talking about peanut butter. But it could be your favorite peanut butter. Like I eat Trader Joe's peanut butter. I love Trader Joe's organic peanut butter. Yours might be Whole Foods. Your favorite might be, I don't know what brand in your country. So Muse of the Poet said, I recently learned how many calories is in the oil-based salad dressing I like. Yikes. Absolutely, because, so I'm going to get to that. So hold on to that thought. So getting a tracker like something like MyFitnessPal, it's like if you don't look to see how many calories something has, that doesn't mean it doesn't have any calories, or it doesn't mean it has fewer calories than you would like, or it doesn't mean it has the number of calories you hope it would. So by not looking, you're not fooling anybody. You're not fooling your body, because if you're not looking at how many calories you're taking in, you're still taking in those calories. You just don't know how many calories. And then you go, I don't know why, I gained 5 pounds or whatever, right? So I really think it's so empowering to know how many calories are in things and, other things as well. I mean, I'm interested in some other things. I don't track my fiber. I don't track my protein. I don't do that because I don't feel I need to. But if you like to do that, you can do that as well. And something like MyFitnessPal does that naturally for you. So when it's like, look, I think people would consume less electricity. I think they would consume less water. I think they would consume less, gas, burn less gas. When you can actually see how much it takes to burn the things, to consume the things that we do. So, if we had trackers, and I can do this actually with my electric and gas bill. I use PG&E, and I can go and I can see in intervals how much electricity and gas it takes to run the dishwasher, how much it takes to run the stove, how much it takes to take a shower, power. And when you absolutely realize how much you're consuming, you are more empowered to not consume as much. And it's the same thing with calories. And again, once I know how much gas and electricity it takes to run the dishwasher or have a 10-minute shower, I know how much it takes to run a 10-minute shower. I don't have to keep looking. So my point is that you don't have to constantly look. So that's one idea. And so anyway, so that's one idea. And I want to see what you guys are saying, because I've just been talking. But does that make sense? Does that make sense to you? Is that something that you can wrap your brains around? Brains or brain? Just one brain. I assume you just have one brain. Is that something that makes sense? Because it makes sense to me, and I think it's a really fun way to eat and not worry. Now, someone just said that they eat whole foods, they never count calories, they don't eat any oil. That's great. That's fantastic. I'm not saying that you have to do this and you have to do this forever and ever, but there are a lot of people who don't know how many calories they're eating, and they don't understand why they've gained weight. And this is a way of just really understanding how many calories you're taking in. And like I said, then after you kind of know what really works for you, then you make choices based on that information, right? Knowledge isn't power. It's what you do with the knowledge you gain that gives you the power, right? Doesn't that make sense? You can tweet that. Knowledge is not power. It's not. Knowledge is power. Great, we've got knowledge. That doesn't mean anything unless we do something with that. So once you know how much you're eating and how many calories are in your favorite foods and your favorite meals, then you can make decisions based on that information. Did you like that? Because I liked it. I might heart myself. Thank you. That's tweetable. I might heart myself, but you guys aren't hearting that. I think that was brilliant. No one else does. It's okay. That's how we test these things out. Yes, now you're giving me hearts because I asked you for them. Maybe you were just so struck by the power of that message that you just couldn't press the screen. That's probably what happened. I'm sure that's what happened. That's what I'll tell myself. Thank you. Thank you for your beautiful, colorful hearts. Now I'm seeing a nice variety. Asperman. Did I say that right? Is mesmerized. You're in awe. Muse of the poets. I know. It was awe-inspiring. You were just like, I can't even press the screen. That was just amazing. So that is the idea. Now, the big question is, of course, how much should you be consuming in a day? How many calories should you be consuming in a day, right? That's the big question. Everybody has that question. How many calories? 1,500 calories, 2,000 calories, whatever. Here's the thing about weight loss. And listen very closely and you may become mesmerized again. Okay, here's the thing. As I said, it is not about how many calories you take in, and it is certainly not about, well, let me back up. It is, in terms of weight loss, it's not about having a calorie deficiency. It's not about being deficient in calories. It is about having a calorie deficit. So what does that mean? That means that you're either consuming fewer calories, right, than you burn, or burning more calories than you're taking in, right? So you're creating this deficit so that you have a calorie deficit. So here's the thing. You can choose how many calories you want to consume a day based on how many you want to burn a day. So here's an example. I'm looking down my little notes because it's numbers and, oh my God. Okay. I warned you. There was that stupid sprayer. Okay. It's just a little water, whatever. Okay, so if you're aiming to lose 1 pound a week, so here's how this works. Now, you tell me, because I don't want you to be sleeping. I know it's early in some places, but it's later in others. How many calories is a pound? How many calories makes up a pound? You tell me. How many calories makes up a pound? I'm going to have some water while you think about this. That's right. So it's 3,500 calories. Well done, Miss Molly Girl and Asperman and everybody else. No well shoot. It's not 100. I know. I just freaked out because the water was about to spray me and I didn't want to get wet. Okay. So if you're so think about this. 3,500 calories is a pound. Let's say you want to lose a pound a week. And by the way, experts do not recommend losing more than 2 pounds. It's coming back. It's going to spray me again. I'm going to step away for just, if I get sprayed, you're going to see me get sprayed. That's going to be like, it's coming up right here. Okay, for those who don't know, there's a pool right next to me, and there's those cleaners that just go along the pool, and then it comes up to the surface and sprays all the water out. Okay, sorry for the distraction. I know. I just wanted to keep you on the edge of your seats and just kind of create some suspense there. Okay, so Experts do not recommend losing more than 2 pounds a week in terms of doing it safely, and I agree with that. So you don't want to do this like in some super fast way, but you can decide how quickly or how slowly you want to lose this weight. Here's why. 3,500 calories is 1 pound. So if you want to lose 1 pound in a week, that means you have to have, right? You have to have a deficit of 3,500 calories that week. You have to have 3,500 calories that you've burned more or 35 fewer calories that you take in. Does that make sense? Right? Either one. You can either burn 3,500 more calories than you did the week before, or take in 3,500 fewer calories than you did the week before. That's going to give you a deficit of 3,500 calories. Now, when you break that up over a week, right? 7 days in a week, I just got sprayed. If you break that up in a week, then you have 7 days. That's 500 calories a day. Does that make sense? Tell me that makes sense. So 3,500 calories in 1 week. That's a deficit of that's 1 pound deficit. You break that up over 7 days. It's 500 calories a day. 500 calories a day that you want to have fewer of, a deficit. Okay. So you can either burn 500 more a day, you can either take in 500 fewer a day, or you can do a combination of both. Let's keep it round, 250 fewer calories that you take in and 250 calories that you burn more, right? You can break it up. So you can have any combination of calories you can have, and you decide what many calories you want to take in a day, just as long as you have the 500 calorie deficit. So you might be taking in 2,000 calories a day because that's good for your body weight. That's good for your height and body shape, etc. Right? You may take in 1,500 calories a day, whatever. I don't know what works for you. Everybody's different in that sense. They are. So let's say you want to take in 1,500. Let's say you take in 1,500 calories a day. That means you have to have a deficit of 500. So you would want to burn 2,000. Now I know that sounds like a lot, but we burn a lot of calories just by sitting, working, moving, breathing. We burn a lot of calories. I usually try to dedicate about 1,000 calories a day of like a dedicated deficit. Well, I'm not trying to lose weight specifically, but I mean, there was a time when I wanted to lose 10 pounds, and I was like, okay, here's what works for me. And actually, it's not true. When I do my workouts, I still do okay, I want to do like a 500 calorie workout. So I wouldn't say I want to run for 5 miles or I want to work out for 40 minutes. I would say I want to have a 500 calorie workout. Does that make sense? So we'll talk about that in a subsequent episode where we talk about what exercises burn the different amounts of calories. But this is what I mean when I say weight loss can be fun, and sustaining a healthy weight can be fun, because you're so empowered to know what it is you're taking in, and you can say, I'm going to a party tonight, and I really want that piece of cake. You can have that piece of cake as long as you know that piece of cake is going to cost you 300 calories, and then you're going to go burn that 300 calories. There are so many stupid diets, Noves 99 said. There are. And this is just basic math. This is what I love about this. It's just basic principles, and it's really empowering, and it's really fun, and there's no deprivation. You're not giving anything up. You're also recognizing, and here's the thing that's really exciting too. And this is why losing weight on a plant-based diet, let's be honest, is a lot easier. It's obviously healthier. It just makes more sense because there are fewer calories in plants, because there's less fat, and there are fewer calories in protein and carbohydrates than there are in fat. And so people more naturally lose weight on a plant-based diet, but also because all of the healthful foods that contain fewer calories are plant foods. And so when you start to pay attention to what you're putting in your mouth, right? Someone just said skip dessert. Right. When you start to pay attention to where you want those calories to come from, and you can decide, you go, I want to eat more food and I want to enjoy more food. And I really want to, find some weight loss. But I really want to enjoy it and I want to do it healthfully. So you just consume so many fruits and vegetables because you realize they're nutrient dense, but they're calorie undense? It's not the word. They're not calorie dense, but they're nutrient dense. So you're not taking in empty calories, right? What are empty calories? What are empty calories? You know this. I'm going to take a sip of water again. Thanks for the hearts. Love the hearts. What are empty calories? Can you type that quickly? Can you type what empty calories are for me? Is that too long? Yes, chips is an example of empty calories. Why are they empty calories? What does that phrase mean? Fiber poor foods, cookies, yes, but again, why are they considered empty calories? Sorry, there's a piece of hair, like really. Oils and refined sugars, sure, empty calories. Why? No nutrients. That's right. That's right. You're taking in calories with no nutrients. That's what empty calories means. You're not getting any bang for your caloric buck, right? When you go out and you spend money, you want bang for your buck. You want to make sure if you're going to spend that money, that's really valuable money to spend. And if you're going to spend that money, you want to spend it really wisely so that you get bang for your buck. So think about, again, the same analogy of spending your calories. You want to get a lot of bang for your caloric buck. So if you're going to take in calories, if you're going to spend calories, if you're going to take them in, right, if you're going to spend in that budget, you're going to want to make sure you're getting the most in terms of getting the most for your caloric buck, right? So that's why consuming all of these nutrient-rich, fiber-rich, folate-rich, antioxidant, phytochemical, vitamin, mineral, protein-rich fruits and vegetables, grains, nuts, seeds, beans, herbs and spices, right? I always talk about, you're going to want to take in so many of those because there's lots of nutrients and there are fewer calories. So you wind up eating so much more healthier. Even if I say you can still have a cookie, that's great. Like, still have your cookies and still do that because you can decide where you want to spend your calories, meaning that you don't have to deprive yourself, but you wind up eating so much more healthfully because you realize that the foods that are the most nutrient dense and calorie poor are plant foods. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Because I want it to make sense for you so you can walk away feeling really excited and really empowered. And I know people talk about weight loss as like a drudgery and it's not fun and it doesn't feel good and it's deprivation and you have to deprive yourself and you have to give up things that you love. And I am recommending, of course, being joyful vegan, that this is all I'm talking about, a plant-based diet. And in the 30-day vegan challenge, look, I happen to have it right here. In the 30-day vegan challenge, I talk all about this is a whole chapter on the principles of weight loss. And in that book, and we'll talk about it tomorrow, we'll talk about specific foods, plant foods, and what a meal looks like, 500-calorie meal, 700-calorie meal, so you can start building it. But I would recommend you start figuring it out for yourself. So again, one of the reasons I did not put meal plans in here is because this is not a diet. You know, I've seen some criticism because people are looking for a particular thing. You know, when people look at a book like this, they expect to be told exactly what to eat every day and exactly what they should be eating. I don't want to do that. This is your life. I'm going to give you all of the choices that you have, and then you can build your own meals from that. But that's what I do in 30 Day. But I do in the in the Understanding Weight Loss chapter, I do go through, here's here's examples of what a 500-calorie meal looks like, just so you have an idea. But I think that's helpful. But I think the best thing is for you, because you know how you eat every day, is to start building your own, list of foods and get something like MyFitnessPal or write it down. But do it for 30 days. Maybe you'll do it while you're doing the 30-day vegan challenge and log your food for 30 days, and then you don't have to keep doing that. And you might have to check a new product that you're trying for the first time. Fine, whatever. But that gives you an idea. Does that make sense? Better, because I just spent like 40 minutes explaining it, and if it didn't make sense, I'll start over again. I can start over. MSN, Dragonfly, yes. Aspaman. Do I recommend minimum calories? You can find out what people recommend for different heights. There are a lot of different recommendations in terms of how many calories people should consume every day. And again, I'm talking in generalizations, because people who are, pregnant should be consuming more calories than when they're not pregnant, or lactating. Someone who's a serious high performance athlete wants to consume more calories. So I'm talking about, you can find out how many calories are recommended for your different lifestyle. And then based on those recommendations, you decide what deficit you want to have. What's good for protein? Well, plants are, you've got soy protein, bean protein, rice protein, grain protein, every kind of nut protein. You've got protein in so many different plants. So really, there's protein in every plant. Protein is just made up of amino acids. That's it. Amino acids are in all foods, period. Semicolon. Different foods have different combinations of the different amino acids, right? And that's why eating a variety of different foods every day gives you all the amino acids you need. You don't have to count the amount of protein you eat. You don't have to track. You don't have to make sure you're combining certain foods. Just by consuming a variety of food every day, you're consuming all the protein you need in plants. that means don't eat potato chips all day. That means don't eat just celery all day. That means just don't eat carrots all day. You're eating a variety of food. Now, that's an obvious thing to say, to not eat potato chips all day. But the point is, it's about variety. It's about variety for pleasure, and it's about variety in terms of nutrients. Terry Jefferson says, I work out every day. I'm vegetarian and I still cannot lose weight. I'm going to talk about that, Terry. When we get to the part where we talk about exercise, I will plant a little seed for you. Well, actually, no. I'm going to plant the seed for you, but I'm actually going to repeat what I said already earlier. It's not about burning calories. Exercise doesn't make you lose weight. What did she just say? She just said that you need to burn calories and you need to take in fewer calories. Why did she just say exercise doesn't make you lose weight? Exercise doesn't make you lose weight. Having a calorie deficit makes you lose weight, meaning you need to burn more calories than you're taking in, meaning that you might be working out every day, but you might not be having a calorie deficit because you might wind up eating more than you otherwise would, or just more, because you're exercising. A lot of people who exercise kind of treat themselves, and I don't mean like with cookies. I just mean they say, well, I worked out today so I can have that extra serving. So then what happens is you take what could have been a deficit or would have been a deficit, and it's not a deficit anymore because you just countered the calorie burn that you had when you worked out. Does that make sense? Does that make sense for you, Terry? So exercise isn't going to make you lose weight. Having a calorie deficit, burning more calories than you take in, is going to make you lose weight. So you're vegetarian, that's great. That's a great start. Fantastic. Obviously, cutting out dairy and eggs is going to reduce your calories even more. And then you're going to replace the calories that you would have taken in from the meat and dairy with healthful calories and plant foods. And actually, because you're taking in plant foods, you're going to be taking in fewer calories, but they're really healthy, and you're still going to feel full because of the fiber. Okay? So try and get the dairy and eggs out of your diet, and be conscious of how many calories you're burning and then how many calories you're taking in, because if it's not a deficit, you're not losing weight. Exercise can fuel hunger. Absolutely. Exercise can definitely fuel hunger. And that's one of the reasons why people then eat, to kind of make up for the exercise that they had and the calories they burned. Thanks, Sinstar. You like my title? Thank you. You mean the title of the broadcast? Yeah, I want people to, these are little mantras I want you to say to yourself, that weight loss is not about depriving yourself of calories. Weight loss is about a deficit. Sinstar 5 says, yes, that's true. So did that make sense? Am I feeling entitled? I don't even know what that means. Is that a joke from the title? Is that a little joke? I got it. So any other questions about this? But I want to just really emphasize, again, it's not about taking in fewer calories and it's not about burning more calories. It's a combination of those so that you have a deficit. And it's not about being deprived. It's about creating your own calorie budget that you then spend the way you want. Journaling, everything is important. People often don't realize how much they eat. Totally. Dragonfly. I mean, that's what I say all the time. First of all, most people say they don't eat a lot of meat, dairy, and eggs. There's never been anyone who says they don't eat a lot of meat, dairy, and eggs. I do eat a lot of eggs for protein. Well, you're probably getting more protein than you need, and be careful about that too, because excess protein comes with dangers. So I wouldn't recommend getting protein from eggs. You're also getting in a lot of saturated fat and dietary cholesterol, and you don't need any of those things. So I would recommend looking at more healthful sources of protein if protein is something that's a concern for you, and getting it from beans, and getting it from whole grains, and getting it from vegetables, and getting it from nuts and seeds. So again, it's about creating your own budget and figuring out how many calories you want to take in a day and then how much of a deficit you want to have, because then, you're welcome, Terry, then if you have a deficit of 500 calories a day and you want to lose 1 pound a week, there you go. That's it. You can have a deficit of 1,000 calories a day as well, but do it very healthfully by burning more and eating less, but it's not even eating less. It's actually knowing where those calories are coming from. I think someone just said something about tofu, and I don't know what it was, but I love tofu. I will follow you, since Star 5 says, thank you. Thanks so much. And you can invite people to watch this broadcast, even if you're watching the rebroadcast. And of course, I will put this on YouTube. You can find all of my videos on YouTube, Joyful Vegan. You can find joyfulvegan.com. Well, you can find that. that's my website. If you type in joyfulvegan.com, you can find me at Joyful Vegan on Twitter. And of course, you can find me on Facebook. It's Colleen Patrick-Goudreau, vegan author and speaker. So that's where you want to find me on Facebook. I'd rather eat 2 pounds of broccoli than 1 slice of chocolate cake. I love abundance. Laugh out loud. Muse of the Poet says. Yeah, I mean, I love abundance as well. And I also love some chocolate cake. Download if you're trying to lose weight or gain or maintain weight. I'm not sure which app you were talking about, Gatchery, if I got your name right. I'm an abundance eater also. Which came first, the vegan or the egg? Okay, I'm just going to keep moving along. Hope you stay and behave yourself, because you're welcome to stay if you behave yourself. MyFitnessPal is the app. I'm very intrigued by the vegan lifestyle. I just don't know if I can be without egg whites. Okay, so you know what I would say to you, HM, legal girl. Sorry, not legal. I would say then give everything up except egg whites. If your struggle is egg whites, don't do nothing because you can't do everything. Do something, anything. Start with where you're at. And if you say, I could do it, but I could never give up egg whites, then do everything but egg whites right now. Start somewhere. But it doesn't make any sense for you to not do anything at all because you're holding on to egg whites. So do something. Does that make sense? Yeah, so MyFitnessPal, that's the one I recommended. The app is great. Vegan, 3 years. Yay. Okay, that works. Looks like you guys are, okay, good. Does that make sense? Good. Fantastic. I'm glad that helped. MyFitnessPal, your book helped a lot in the beginning. Thanks, Burner Girl. So again, 30-day vegan challenge. You can find all of this information there. And you can find it on Amazon and my website, and you can also join the online program. But the book is just really the manual to guiding you. So for those of you who are looking to transition, I can guarantee you it will help you on your journey. Thank you, Aspaman. Appreciate that so much. Well, thanks, everybody. Before you go, tell me who was new here. I think we had a bunch of new people, which was so fantastic. I love seeing familiar names and new names. Who was new? Just type in new so I can say hello and try to remember you from next time. Sinstar5, you're new. Burner Girl 821, I was new. God Covers Me, I am. Terry, I'm new. Terry Jefferson, fantastic. Psyched to have stumbled across your scope. Well, thanks, HM Legal Girl. Thanks, Legal Girl. I'm new. Gotcha. Good luck in the next. I can't see what you said. New. Heather, fantastic. I'm new. That's fantastic. What a great bunch you are. Really fantastic. So yeah, find me over at joyfulvegan.com, and I will be doing these Periscopes every day. That's my intention. And we're really going to be covering this subject because I think there's so much to talk about. So the mantra for today is weight loss is not about calorie deprivation. It's about having a calorie deficit. And create your calorie budget. Go right now, if you're looking to lose weight, write down how many pounds you want to lose in what time period. Narrow that down to 3,500 calories based on the days of the week, and figure out how much you can lose. And when you figure out that math and you start sticking to it, you will find it working, and it's really exciting and really empowering. So tomorrow we're going to talk about specific foods and what their calories are, what meals look like, what are really nutrient-rich foods. Again, stay away from the empty calorie foods, and just really go for the nutrient-dense foods because they're going to be nutrient-rich and calorie-poor, and that's going to be what you're going to want to look for, whether you're wanting to lose weight or not. You really want that nutrient-rich food. And then just very quickly, if you're trying to gain weight, it's the same principle, so you just flip everything around. And then we will also talk about exercise and how exercise does not make you lose weight, because I've already touched on that, and you get that idea. And we'll talk about different things people can do to, what kind of calorie burn. Because like with food, a lot of people exercise and think, well, I'm going to take a little stroll for a half hour. And they don't realize they just burned like 100 calories, like not a lot of calories. And you don't know until you start tracking it. What about rice? Rice is great. Terry, I'm not sure in what context you were asking that. Do I have a typical scope time, says Legal Girl. No, I said in the beginning of the broadcast that I'm still playing with different times, and I might wind up just keeping them varied because of people all around the world. So I did it today at this time, mainly because I'm on the East Coast. I normally am on the West Coast, and it's not easy for me to scope this early at 6 o'clock in the morning, West Coast time, mostly because I'm not dressed and I want to go for a run, and you don't want to see me before I go for a run. And, but this is a good time for UK folks. Then I tend to do it later in the afternoon, West Coast time. I really am varying it. But, once I figure out what works, I want to create a regular schedule so people know when to watch. But then again, you can watch the rebroadcast, and of course I put it up on YouTube as well. And you can find me on Facebook. I put it up on Facebook as well, and I share it on Twitter. So you'll keep my notifications. Looking forward to your scopes. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks, everybody. So if you have any questions, you can always ask me at joyfulvegan.com, and you can find me at joyfulvegan on Twitter. Oh, I didn't even mention Instagram. Definitely find me at Instagram at joyfulvegan. Facebook, it's Colleen Patrick-Goudreau, vegan author and speaker. If you just find my name, it's a personal page, and it's really just for family and friends. But look for Colleen Patrick-Goudreau, vegan author and speaker. Thanks, Zoe. Nice to see you. Thanks, everybody. Share with your friends, and good luck to all of you. And this gorgeous day we're going to have here until it rains. And I wish you all the best, and I wish you all well, and I wish you abundance in all ways, but a little bit of a deficit if you're looking for some weight loss. But I wish you abundance, and have a wonderful day. And I'll see you again. Thanks for all the hearts. Thanks for all the hearts. Appreciate it. I love it. Thank you. That's lovely. Aw, thanks for your love. That's so sweet. You appreciate the deficit. Yeah. I wish you a deficit. I wish you a day of deficits. You know what I mean. It's our own little special little language. And if you remember my tweet before, I will say it again. Knowledge is not power. It's what we do with knowledge that gives us power. Knowledge is not power. It's what we do with the knowledge we gain that gives us the power. Okay? So you can repeat that, and you shall credit me. You don't have to, but you should repeat it. Thanks for what you do. Thanks, Sandra. Thanks. Good to see you. Bye. Enjoy your day too. I'm off. All right. Thanks, everybody. See you again. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow might be this time as well, or maybe just a little bit later, but look out for it. Okay? Okay. Bye, everybody.